Hello, scrufftards, rejects, weirdos, and degenerates. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And we're gonna take a look at what appears to be a tactical withdrawal by Ukraine in Kursk, as Ukraine gives up territory that is dangerously close to being overrun by Russian forces. And we will also take a look at some gains made by Ukraine north of Kharkiv, thanks to an incursion striking at a very vital logistical route utilized by the Russians. And gonna finish off briefly with taking a look at the range of the ATACMS missiles if they're gonna be used against Kursk. Right, as always, we have the ISW map, and really interesting, you're gonna see that it differs quite a lot from the other mappers. Mainly here, massive gains, Russian gains according to ISW. And if we compare with the others, let's take Andrew Perpetua. You can see Andrew still has Ukraine over here in control of all of this territory here. Pogreb Golgotha and all the way up here. And same thing with Deep State. This area is still in Ukrainian control. We'll take a look at Mayakovsk 73. Same thing. You can see you have like this is from the 18th, just the other day. Russians far down, close to Malaya Lokna. And the thing is, ISW, where the hell did you go? There you are. They're usually a day or so ahead of the other mappers in the update, so do not be surprised if 24-48 hours from now the other mappers follow what Deep State is showing us. And I think this may not be a complete collapse of Ukrainian positions, because as I've been saying for some time, because Russia has made pushes down towards this bridge, blown this bridge here, it's not unthinkable that Ukraine were beginning to plan to fall back entirely from this area to set up positions east and south of Malaya Loknia, right? And since we may now see Russia gaining so much territory in one fell sweep, that might actually be an indication that Ukraine has fallen back from these positions because Russia was threatening this bridge and having blown this bridge, right? So when we saw Ukraine pushing north to Pogrebki, that might have been Ukraine trying to secure Malaya Loknia and the bridge here to allow the forces to come down and fall back safely. And Ukraine probably has now fallen back, if ISW is correct, that is, fallen back and moved east of this bridge here. So this is Malaya Loknia, and the river is over here west of the town. So you have Reka, Malaya Loknia, that would be river, would be my guess, because all the rivers are called the Reka in Russia. And here you have that last final vital bridge. And this bridge here, Russia blew up a couple of weeks ago as they were making this initial push towards Viktorovka. So right now, the mappers are not in agreement. Most mappers have this area still in Ukrainian control, but ISW usually are 24-48 hours ahead of the others, and then they follow suit and provide similar updates. So if that happens, and say Deep State in a couple of days from now show that this area all of a sudden becomes Russian, no need to shit your pants. It's probably a controlled withdrawal by Ukraine. I mean, it's still not good. Ukraine is giving up territory. It is a Russian win. but it is not a complete disaster. Like I've been saying for a week or two, this would probably happen, and it's probably a controlled withdrawal to set up defenses along this river here to secure Malaya, Loknia, and Leonodovo. And in the end, I mean, I said this when Russia began pushing out from Koronevo towards Nargos and Yubimovka, we would probably see Russia succeeding in pushing Ukraine back to this river over here over time. And it looks as if we're now reaching that point. To emphasize, here you have the river, you can see the blue line here. And then it turns into the lake, and it continues all the way down to the border with Ukraine. Two river systems that will become a formidable defensive line for Ukraine to hold. We have to expect Russia to, over time, push up to this river, or these rivers, especially since they've crossed this river here and are in this town of Dorino. And they're also pushing in here, south of Sudzha, also moving up to rivers here, which, like I've said for weeks now, we should expect this to happen, and now it's happening. And same thing here, we can expect Russia to gain access to this area here and push up to the suburbs of Sudzha and the river itself. And just to repeat what I've said before, all of this is acceptable as long as Ukraine trades territory for massive amounts of casualties inflicted on the Russians, which it appears as if they're doing. Ukraine must not or cannot afford to lose territory within the boundaries of this river, because then Russia can gain access to this highway, and if Russia cuts this highway, Ukraine can no longer support the efforts in Kursk. So Ukraine, they're still in the fight. This is not a complete disaster. Ukraine can lose territory and fall back to this river. It is if they have to fall back within the boundaries of this river that they are really in trouble. But so far, as long as they're losing territory but inflicting casualties in doing so, it's not a lost cause yet. We should also point out that over here, south of Glushkova and Veseloye, most of the mappers are now in agreement that Ukraine has been pushed out of Russia in this area. We still have on the ISW map some control. According to ISW, Ukraine still has some control here. But most of the mappers now has Ukraine as fully pushed out of the area in total. So Ukraine has abandoned this campaign, or this part of the operation, and appears to have moved those units over here. We've seen CV-90s operating over here, and those belong to the 21st Mechanized that was part of this push into Russia towards Glushkovo. And we have now seen CV-90s in action over here, south of Novaya Ivanovka. So it does appear as if Ukraine has abandoned this operation and moved everything over here. So that is currently the situation. Obviously, Russia has the advantage, but on the other hand, they are paying for the gains they've made. And taking a look at another Ukrainian incursion into Russia, it is over here at Surovlyovka, north of Kharkiv. This is the Kharkiv front down here. Ukraine has pushed in here, putting pressure on this town, and this is one of the main, or perhaps the main, supply route for Russia into this section of the front line. And Ukraine is, as you can see, right on top of it, causing trouble. And if this is the map from the 18th, we're now gonna skip ahead to the 19th. Kaboom! Take a look at this. Comm equipment destroyed, Ukrainian drone attacks, as you can see, all along this main supply route. And And here in this town here of Strelece, this is obviously a Russian command center where you equip comms and what have you. And here you have drone attacks on Russians as well. And take a look at this huge Russian shelling, Russian drone attacks, and Ukrainian assault. Take a look if we flip back. And now from the 18th back to the 19th, Ukraine is pushing into this big bowl-shaped valley covered in forest. Ukraine. So the access point is here, and they're moving in, and Russia is trying to counter it with massive amounts of shelling all over the place. So clearly Ukraine has now begun a push into this valley covered in woods, and it's all thanks to this, Ukraine disrupting logistics up here. We've seen Ukraine pushing up along the dam here. They pushed into this valley here, and are now on their way into the next one. Russia is suffering right now in this part of the front line due to this very crucial incursion by Ukraine, where they are disrupting Russian supplies to this section of the front line. And here we have my map over the situation. If we zoom in here on Suravlevka, you can see here how Ukraine has pushed in, and they are right on top of the highway, forcing Russia to allocate or take a detour through town along these muddy roads, dirt roads that will slow down everything significantly if you try to move dozens of overloaded trucks along these pathways until they finally reach the highway itself. And Ukraine has pushed up along the dam here, and now the last couple of weeks they've pushed in here and moved up into this valley here, and like we just saw, pushed through here into this bowl-shaped forested valley and pushed in north. And this is the eastern slope of a giant hill. The suburbs here, they are the western slope right next to the dam, and the road here is the crest of the hill, the top of the ridge line. So Ukraine is moving up on top of the hill here, as you can see, pushing out on either slope, west and east. And if they can grab this valley here, like I said, it's a giant bowl-shaped valley, they are in good position to push into this valley where you have a farm, and then they are in a very good position from this valley to threaten Hlyboke as well as Lukyantsy. So pushing along the slopes here is very crucial for Ukraine, and we are seeing that Ukraine is having successes after they pushed in here, disrupting the logistics, maybe potentially even cutting them off in full, forcing Russia to rely on these two logistical routes, which are dirt tracks, not suitable for logistical purposes during mud season at all. So Ukraine is slowly grinding Russia down in this area on this big hill north of Kharkiv, and given time, Ukraine will continue having success here, all thanks to this push where they are disrupting or potentially even cutting off logistics altogether. But of course, the big news is that Ukraine is allowed to use HIMARS to launch ATACMS missiles at targets within Kursk Oblast. We're using deep state to make our point here. So we've placed a HIMARS just outside of Sumy, or potentially within Sumy, where it's safe from, or safe-ish at least, from Russian counterattacks. So let's zoom out and see what that means. Well, it means that the entire battle space here is within range, and so is all the access points and potential supply depots in the vicinity of the combat area, and Kursk, the city itself. And zooming out, you can see that Ukraine can use HIMARS to launch ATACMS missiles at every strategical target surrounding the Kursk incursion. And that will, of course, help the incursion itself tremendously, denying Russia resources before they reach the front line and helping the Ukrainian troops taking out vehicles and what have you long before they even reach the point of contact. And perhaps one of the most important targets that they can now attack is located here, just outside of Kursk. If we move on over to my map here and head on over to Kursk. Let's see, where did you go? Here we have Kursk, sorry for that. And this area here is very well within range of the HIMARS and ATACMS missiles. This airfield, as you can see, you have fighter jets, and something tells me that this site here will gain a lot of attention from ATACMS in the coming days. So yeah, there we go. As you can see, Kursk, and this is the location of that airfield right here. Here you go. There it is. So this is not insignificant. This will help Ukraine hold the line here in Kursk, especially now that they have been forced to potentially fall back east of the river here, Malaya Lochnia. So yeah, it does appear as if Ukraine has fallen back. I do believe it has been a conscious choice by Ukraine to abandon those positions, if that is indeed the case. And so when you finally see these updates on the Deep State map or Andrew Perpetua's map, don't worry, it's a conscious choice by Ukraine to make a tactical withdrawal and under controlled, in a controlled fashion, to fortify and occupy more defendable positions east of the river and south of Malaya Lochnia, and maybe reinforce and help out in trying to push into the town of Novoivanovka as you fall back and now have more troops to push into that fight. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, until Ukraine reaches that last river next to Sudzha, they can fall back to that river. If they fall back behind that river, then Ukraine is in trouble. Anyway, that's going to have to be it. Hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.